Hi, David Odell here with Odell Complete Concrete. This is part 2 of a 3-part series. We did the concrete, the stepping stones in part 1. Now we're going to be doing the artificial turf. The wood you see going in right here, that's going to be the border of the artificial turf. Beyond that, against the wrought iron, will be some plants going in with irrigation. That'll be part 3. Also, part 3 will have the aluminum wood patio cover. Right now we're going to focus on the artificial turf. This is a great DIY artificial turf install. Basically, get it down to grade, figure out the elevation you want your turf out. In this case, we want it flush with the top of concrete, so we're just going to bring it up. So this is recycled concrete that we're going to be using as an infill to bring up the elevation of this area and give it a good base for the artificial turf to set on. And it's really inexpensive. It's, $20 for about 3 tons, so that's pretty reasonable. You can use decomposed granite also. That works as well, but it costs a little more money. We're going to be laying also a weed barrier on top of this base once we get it to the right elevation, and then we'll put a topping over that, compact it all, lay the artificial turf. The artificial turf is going to go right in between these pavers to the other side of the yard all the way across. Even though it's artificial turf, it's just setting on dirt and road base, you still need drainage, because if you get a heavy downfall, it's not going to absorb that quickly, so you still need a place for it to run off. So you got to check your levels and elevations. So now we've got the initial load of base in there, about 2 inches. Then we put the fabric on, then we're going to put another 2 or 3 inches on top of that. The fabric, really what it does, it's not really necessarily just for weeds. It's so that the native soils doesn't integrate into the gravel. Because if that happens, then you really don't have gravel, you have dirt. So that kind of stops that infiltration of the dirt into the gravel, which is important to maintain a nice clean base. Otherwise the mud will come up through your base right up into your artificial turf, and it won't be pretty. So in order to compact this particular material, you got to wet it up pretty thoroughly. You can over wet it, but that just means you got to wait a little bit longer to compact. But it's better over wet than not wet enough. Because if you get it wet, the right moisture content in your road base, when you compact, you can make it very smooth and flat.
Alright, so on the concrete day, we actually had to use our pressure treated wood as a rod because we didn't have the right, we didn't have enough wood pretty much to rod our concrete. So they got a little dirty. Let me show you. Actually, I can't show you.
There's a dirty one right here.
Yeah. So they got a little dirty with cement residue on top, as you can see. So what we did was we went to Home Depot and bought some nice little paint for the pressure treated wood. It's a satin espresso color. So we're just gonna spray paint it, and it's actually really nice looking. So it leaves a really nice look for the top of the pressure treated wood. Really clean look. Because we are going to be putting artificial turf in here. The only thing you're going to see is the top of these pressure treated wood. So this is actually a pretty cool idea. So,
shoot, you can even make this green.
Yeah, you really could. We just wanted, we just didn't want to have to buy more pressure treated wood since we already had it. And this is actually a really cool look. So, new discovery. Hopefully the audio's good. Hold on. Don't get too close. It's the concrete. We need to get a baggie.
Yep.
Okay, so on that perimeter border of the artificial turf, that just dresses it up, makes it look nice rustic look on the wood, because that's the color that the aluminum wood patio is going to be also. So it's going to all tie this whole backyard in as one unit. So it's not like a whole bunch of mishmash, different colors going on in the backyard. It's just kind of straightforward. Well, here's the grading technique. It's pretty simple. Once you establish your perimeter elevation and you're in a small area like this, you can pretty much eyeball it at this point. But you get into bigger areas, you might want to pull some straight edges across from edge to edge. String lines, those work, or any kind of straight edge that'll reach that. This is only about 10 by 10 area, so a lot of things will reach that. Here's your plate compactor. Knocked it down real smooth just to make sure. We went around the perimeter with a hand tamper. And this is how you get green grass really fast without any water. So the way they did this is they just ran the artificial turf over the pavers, the stepping stones that go through that gate, and tack it all down, and then just cut out around the pavers once you figure out where they are.
All right, Sam, walk me through it.
Walking you through the process.
What are we doing here?
Nailing it down, my man. Getting this turf nailed down into place so it doesn't move.
So for beginners, how would you tell them how to nail down artificial turf?
Call a professional.
Call us, but if they think they can do this and handle themselves and it's a small area, what are we doing?
You gotta make sure you get rid of all the glass blades, push them away so you see nothing but black, because you want to hide the tip of the head. Hammer it down, and then bring up all the extra grass.
Beautiful. And it's gone just like that. We got the main man, Edgar, over here, stretching out the artificial turf.
Here's your carpet stretcher. That's typical for interior carpet. Same tool they use for stretching. A good idea when you're laying turf is to lay it out there and leave it in the sun for a few hours, so that way it completely expands, because it is plastic. So as it gets hot, it expands. So you want it to expand in the sun, and then go ahead and stretch it and nail it. So you may want to just leave it in place a day, get full sun exposure, and then stretch and nail. Otherwise, what can happen if you don't do that, you'll get bubbling effect. It'll start rippling when it does start to expand, if you didn't do the pre-expansion. So here's how you go around your border. You just roll it over and cut it from the bottom, and you can cut it a little bit long when you do this. The reason for that is because we're going to be tucking in the edges, and they tuck in behind that border in between the gravel and the wood border. So it rolls down, almost does like a 90-degree turn, and tucks in.
So Edgar is cutting the perimeters right now. And Sam, what he's gonna do, since the sides are cut now, he's gonna go down, start putting nails in every about 6 inches, and then every third nail he's gonna put one right in between the third and second nail.
So now you can stretch a nail after you make that cut. Then if you're protruding a little bit over that border, we'll show you how to tuck it in to get rid of that without having to do another cut. And it makes a nice clean edge too, so you don't see that cut line on the backing of the artificial turf. On this particular infill that we're going to be using on this artificial turf, it's just going to be some industrial sand, 16 grit industrial sand. Here's the pavers starting to pop up now. So in between those pavers we have concrete and rebar tying each paver together, and you can see that in the previous video how those are all interlocked together as one piece, but it's just not visible right here, but underground it is, which you can see in the previous video. But the idea of that is that the pavers can't shift or go up or down, and then, you know, nothing will really affect them. The nice thing about laying that sod out over the entire paver area is that those little strips are still one continuous piece. There's no splices. So those strips in between the pavers, they're not likely to come out because it's all connected to both sides. Here's the tucking thing I was talking about earlier. After you get it all nailed down, you want to tuck your edges in.
You guys want to see some? Check out the progress so far. You want to try to, as much as this goes straight down, you want to try to tilt it in a 45-degree angle towards the concrete, because you want to try to tuck this black part underneath the concrete. If you hook it towards yourself, you're going to create a bubble.
What do you call it? Hook and stretch?
What do you call it? What?
Hook and stretch.
Hook and stretch?
Hook and stretch.
And then hook it.
Now you just blow off all your excess blades that have fallen off with a blower once you get to this point. And you can see the sand that we're using there, very inexpensive. Now if you have pets or you have children, you're probably going to want to use the pet-friendly infill that you can get also with this. But in this case, there's no pets, no children. So we're just going to go with typical 16 grit sand. And the sand, what that does is it rests down in the bottom of those blades, and it holds the blades in an upright position. Otherwise, they're just going to do whatever they want to do, and it's not going to look real pretty. So once you get enough sand on there, what they're just using it's like a stiff brush, power brush, that pops the blades up, because they're working, when they're manufacturing this artificial turf, they're actually laying one direction, the blade. So you work your brush backwards against the grain, popping the blades up, dropping the sand in, and then once the sand drops and the blades are up, they can't fall back down. Now that's the idea of that. As far as cleaning those blades, if you ever want to desanitize, if you did have pets, just hit it with some simple green, flush it through, knock the odor out, you know, and you're good to go for another 6 months or a year, depending on the usage of it. You don't have to have the power brush to do the blade. You could do it manually with a good stiff broom and just a little bit more sweat, but the power brush makes it a lot quicker and easier.
Alright guys, me and Sam just wrapped up the project. Artificial turf and concrete is looking amazing. Of course, we are going to come back and do the patio cover in 6 weeks, but like I said, the COVID situation is really delaying the patio cover from, you know, arriving. So we're going to be back, but for now, artificial turf, the concrete is all installed and it's looking amazing. This is it, guys. I just wanted to take you guys on a quick walk along and just show you how everything is looking. Check out these artificial turf strips. They're 8 inches, every single one of them. We got the concrete pavers sitting in the middle. The concrete is perfectly sloped. And the customers are super happy with how everything turned out.
There it is, part 2 complete. Got the artificial, we got the concrete in. Now we got to do the aluminum wood patio cover, and we got to start planting and irrigation. Part 3 wraps it up. Stay tuned for that one. That gets you the final. Thanks for watching. Have a good one.
Are you doing the math real quick?
Yeah, I'll check it out. How much is